Hello there and welcome to another percussion tutorial. My name is William Johnson and I'm glad to be here with you again today. So, I know I've been saying what I'm about to say a lot, but oh well. We got something a little different today. Today, we're cooking with shakers. At least that's what it looks like. It looks like I'm getting ready to make a recipe or something. So I wanted to talk about shakers and the idea of shakers, the technique of shakers, the structure, what they can do, but just give a couple ideas for creativity. I love adding different palettes and textures to songs. So the context that we're talking about, again, is in the contemporary context, blah, blah, blah. I'm at a loss for words again. But in a contemporary context, okay, so CCM, contemporary Christian music, worship music, gospel worship music. It could be funk music. It could be rock and roll. It could be pop music, whatever, dance, trance, whatever. So instrumental, yeah, experimental music, what have you. Contemporary styles of music, but also traditional because maracas and other types of music use the idea of what a shaker is doing anyway. So, but mainly in that context that I mentioned. So first of all, the role of the shaker for me, well, the shaker period for me out of all the instruments that I play, primarily I'm a conga player, but I play lots of percussion. For me, the shakers are at the top of the list. I normally like to travel with at least one shaker, but as long as there's a kitchen, there's plenty of shakers. There's a kitchen and there's utensils and containers, we've got shakers. But I like to have a shaker at my disposal so that I can add that as a palette. Number one, it adds a pulse, a steady ostinato that keeps a steady groove. It fills space, and it adds that kind of trance, relaxed atmosphere vibe to the song, right? So you've got the song going, you just got that. Depending on its frequency range, a shaker can make itself known well as long as it's mic'd up, right? But it makes itself known very well to the point that if you start it and then you stop, it's pretty known. It's almost better not to start or to start a little bit later than to just start and then stop. But if, back to the whole thing, if you're messing up or you're not sure, just stop, right? Well, maybe not. It depends. Let me not give advice. It depends on how that advice is going to be taken. Anyways, so I have some different types of shakers, and I'm going to show you some stuff that you can use in place of shakers, because the role is what you're doing. It's not just about a shaker per se and a brand per se, but it's about the role that it's playing. And if you understand the role, then you can find other things in its place. You can improvise. Structure first, and then we can improvise if we understand what we're doing. So, some of my favorite shakers in the world are the Meinl shakers. I've just gotten so used to using them. I love their texture. The red Meinl shaker for soft ballad type songs. Normally, if I'm going to pick a shaker, the red one is going to be my go-to. It's just got that nice soft palette to it. Okay. Now, I'm not really talking about shaker techniques so much in this video, but if you think that's a great idea, drop a comment or send me a message and I can do a whole bunch of videos, a whole series on shaker technique, all the fine motor stuff, all the different stuff, 6, playing in 7, playing in 4/4, playing with different accents and all that other good stuff. Anyways, when I sometimes I'll take a shaker like this Meinl shaker, and I'll also have the black one, which is a little bit harsher, okay, of a sound, and I'll use that for my choruses and use this for my verses. Or I'll stack them together for the chorus, and you could play at the same volume, the same intensity, just changing the shaker, and it adds a whole nother level, right? So, which I'll talk about here in a second. Now, another one of my favorite shakers is the UFO shaker, black UFO shaker here, because it cradles perfectly for me in my hand in these digits, the first or the second digits of my fingers, as well as these two guys, the thumb and this finger here, right? It cradles in there perfectly, but also if I hold the shaker like this, depending on how hard I squeeze it, changes the sound of the shaker. Now, I can take the shaker, got these 2 fingers right here, hold it with the other 3, okay? And then if I shake, all of them holding it, but then release these 2 where that downbeat or wherever my accent is, I have a shaker, but now I can make it more interesting. I can control the sound. When I release and open up, it makes it more of a brighter sound. When I close it, it's a darker sound, like an underwater lo-fi type sound. Really cool. Fits perfectly. The other thing you can do this with are egg shakers, okay? Egg shakers, or here's an LP, little shaker here. Same thing. If that's too harsh and it's all you've got your hand. You can change the sound and tone just by the way that you hold the shaker. Squeezing it, adding pressure on it. The other thing that I have is really cool here. Oh, before I even get to that, I have a Toka shaker here with drum. I have 3 of these. They normally come in a set. Picked these up in the store several months ago. But I love them because you have a shaker and you have a drum. For instance. And what I'm doing is I'm shaking and then I'm throwing the beads inside, the pellets inside to the drum thing there, right as I release my fingers, because otherwise it changes the sound. I can still do that, but that's more of a right, a darker sound, where that's a brighter, more of a paperish, I'm trying to describe the sound. That's that sound. You hear that? When I let go. And just take some practice experimenting with that, right? But that's what I love about these, is that you have a shaker, but I mean, I could literally play it like a drum and a shaker at the same time. Okay. The other cool thing that I have here is I actually have some Carolina table salt and some Mrs. Dash, but it's not Mrs. Dash. It's a Mrs. Dash's bottle, and inside is couscous. I found that this works perfect for worship music, ballad music, music that's very soft and ambient in nature. Plus, the dynamic is a lot lower. So I can you should control the dynamics with your hands, but it helps to add. You see that dynamic? It's a little louder. It's a softer material inside. Now, whether or not you have glass, this is plastic. So that's going to change the sound. If you have a glass container, well, there you go. So, in my opinion, you can't have enough shakers. Experiment. When your seasoning and your cooking goes out and you're done with that bottle, don't throw it away. Keep it. Put some stuff in it and experiment with sounds. You'll have a bunch of different shakers. The other one, in this Carolina table salt here, I have rice. More of a crunchier sound, right? There you go. Now, I have cascas, I believe it's called. The kind where you shake them. And I don't know how to do this. I've never learned, where you throw it forward and it goes clack, clack, you know. One day I'm going to learn how to do it. I just haven't sat down and learned how to do it. But that's another sound. Right? It's a little bit of a harsher sound. All different types of shakers. Love the Spark shaker here from Mino. You can use it as a ambient thing or as a bright shaker. I don't know. Depending on the song, it may be the perfect thing. Now, I took all of the brightness and spark away just by holding it. And I can make it louder, this more bright metallic, depending on how I open it. That's just with the thumb. All right. So that's the shakers that I have. But with what we're doing with the shakers is we're adding this steady pulse, right? But we can do the same thing with brushes or broomsticks. So let me get these shakers down out of the way here and show you exactly what I mean. I had a one-shot shaker there too. That's the other thing. One shot, we have a shaker sound, but then we can control it like a drum or like another percussive medium. Okay, so I could play these like a drum, or I could play. That sounds crazy by itself, but with the certain song, that might just be the sound. Now I'm digging into the drum here, but I can come out, or while the drummer is playing, I'm just adding textures on top. But understanding the role of the shaker helps me out there. Now, brushes. I'm using a frame drum again here. And the cool thing about this frame drum is the way I have it on a flat surface. And I can experiment, or I can now, if I add the tips where the tip of the brush is playing, that's one sound. If I have it completely flat against the drum, that's another sound. I can add more scraping sound, less scraping sound, just the shh or the. It depends on what you're going for. If I change these shakers and I go for a plastic shaker, again, I change the tone. Okay, so it just depends on what you're going for. But there's an infinite number of possibilities when you talk about shakers. So I just wanted to talk about some of the creative things that you can do, going in your kitchen, adding different stuff. Perhaps you're not even a percussionist. Maybe you're a guitarist or you're a producer. This is a great way. You could take stuff from your kitchen. Don't get in trouble with the spouse now, or your partner, whatever's going on here. Don't get in trouble. You can take your stuff. You can take your spices, your rice, whatever, put it in a bowl, a metallic bowl, maybe a salad bowl. Put it in the bowl, and then you shake the whole bowl, and now you've got this weird, lo-fi, crazy sounding shaker that may work awesome either on stage or for a recording. It's just a matter of experimenting, not just going to the store and whatever shaker is there and whatever they made. Experiment, because not all shakers are equivalent. You have different shakers, different textures for different tones for different songs. And don't be afraid to double up, because sometimes when you add, now I'm holding all three shakers, that might be the sound that you're going for. Literally 3 shakers all in one. And that's a thicker, fuller sound than maybe just that. So don't be afraid to experiment with these ideas and work on that fine motor control with your shakers. So anyways, if this video has been helpful at all, subscribe, hit a like, comment, give me some feedback. Where would you like to see me go, in what direction, if you like what you're seeing here? All right, guys, gals, love you, and I'll see you.